Boy, it feels good to take that mask off. I can't wait till they're off permanently, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Do open your Bibles to Exodus 33, 18 to 23. That's where we'll study this morning. Exodus 33, 18 to 23. It is good to be here, mask or no mask, and to be able to worship our God together. And the good news is Tammy will be here on Thursday. I told her, and she's watching, so she's going to slap me when she gets here anyway, so I might as well say it. So I was tired of cooking my own supper, washing my own clothes, and cleaning my own house. And I couldn't wait for her to get here. And no, seriously, I'm looking forward to seeing her. And RJ, our elder son, is coming down with her, and he's flying back 4 or 5 days after he gets here. And so we're looking forward to that time with him. And I took him and his brother and Tammy, let's see, it was 2017, I guess it was, to Sweetwater, Tennessee to see the total eclipse of the sun. And I don't know if you've ever seen an eclipse or not, but to see a total solar eclipse, no words to describe it. There is no way to do it justice. Let me tell you something. The pictures you see of that dark sky and the moon blocking out the sun and the sun's corona around the moon, they don't do it justice. You got to see it for yourself. And I got to tell you, I got emotional. I cried. I'll just be honest, and I didn't feel so bad when we watched the NBC News report and when their reporters couldn't talk because he was crying too. It was spectacular. Beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. Glory, the creation of God. I know you've had your breath taken away with the glory of God. Whether it be a meteor shower or a comet looking through planets in a telescope, or stand Niagara Falls, or the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, Yellowstone, the glory of God abounds in this world. And as we see this creation, we see part of God's glory. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. But what if you didn't have to see the glory of God only in the eclipse of the sun? What if you didn't have to see the glory of God only as you stood at Niagara Falls or at the Rocky Mountains or at Yellowstone or some other natural wonder of this earth? What if you were able to see the glory of God face to face? We're able to see God in all of His wonder, in all of His glory, in all of His might. That's what Moses asked in this text. He says at verse 18, then Moses said, now show me your glory. Oh, the Israelites had already seen the glory of God. As Moses and Aaron called the people together, they're speaking to the people. And as Aaron is speaking, the people look toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. But Moses wants something more. Moses, in fact, needs something more. Moses is struggling. Moses is having a hard time. God has called him to a task he did not want. Remember, Moses stands before that burning bush. God says, go to my people, lead them out of Egypt. Moses says, wait a minute, God, you got the wrong guy. I can't talk plain. I've got this problem. I've got that problem. Just find somebody else. And God answered every excuse. And he sent Moses to Pharaoh, and he led the people of Israel out of Egypt into Canaan. I'll get it right in a second. Left Egypt to go to Canaan. And as they're wandering in the desert, Moses is sick and tired of these people he's brought out of Egypt. They bicker, they complain. It doesn't matter how things go, they're going to bellyache. They're not going to be happy. And Moses says to God in verses 12 to 17 of Exodus 33, "You have been telling me, lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. You have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." The Lord replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Then Moses said to him, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth?" And the Lord said to Moses, "I will do the very thing you have asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name." Moses is struggling. Yeah, Moses and the rest of the Israelites have seen the glory of the Lord in that cloud on the mountain. But Moses says to God, it's time for me to see something else. He needed to see the glory of God. He needed to know that God was with him, that God was going to bless him, and that God really had chosen him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt into the promised land. And thus he begs at verse 18, "Lord, show me your glory." But God can't. Moses says, "God, I want to see your glory. I want to see you in your majesty and your splendor." And God says, "Well, Moses, let me tell you something. You can't. I cannot do what you ask." I believe that God would have been more than happy to do everything that Moses asked for. He would have been more than happy to show him his glory, to allow him to see his splendor. But here's the truth. God's glory is too great for mortal man. God's glory is too great for mortal man. Can you imagine looking at an eclipse of the sun without those special glasses on? I opened the dash of the car the other day, and there were those glasses we wore until you got to totality. And then you can take them off, and you can stare at that wonder with the naked eye. But as soon as that moon begins to move away, and the first ray of that sun comes back through, you better put those glasses back on. You can't look at the sun. It's too much splendor, too bright, too much glory. But let me tell you something. That moon, that sun, looking at that sun is nothing like looking at the glory of God. And God says, "Show me your glory." And God says, "I can't, because it is too great for mortal man." Exodus 33, 18, 23. Then Moses said, "Now show me your glory." And the Lord said, "I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." Now, I want you to notice something. Moses has asked to see God's glory. God answers Moses by telling him who he is. There is a great difference in what Moses asks and what God does. Moses says, "God, let me see you." And God begins to tell Moses who he is, what his character is. Instead of saying, "Moses, let me come down and show you me. Let me tell you who I am." That's the essence of God. The essence of God is not in some manifestation and some glory that can be seen. It's in who he is. And God tells Moses, it's not about seeing me with the eye. You can't do that anyway. But here's what it's about. I will cause my goodness, my character, who I am, to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name. You remember, burning bush. God proclaimed himself as Yahweh, the I Am. Most translations put Lord in all caps, signifying that that is the divine name, Yahweh there. Jews were afraid to pronounce the name of God, afraid they'd take it in vain, and so when reading from the Old Testament Scriptures, they would say the Lord when they came to Yahweh. And thus that practice has been carried over in their English translations. The American Standard, maybe a few others, put Jehovah there, which is a whole other story about how he got that from Yahweh. But the truth is, and the fact that the important thing is, as Moses stands before the burning bush, God reveals himself as Yahweh. Exodus 3:14. God said to Moses, "I am who I am." This is what you are to say to the Israelites: "I am Yahweh, the Lord has sent me to you." Yahweh, the I am, the one who was, the one who will be, the one who is eternal, the I am. Wherever you go in history, not the I was, not the I will be, but the I am, the one who is there, the one who is living then, who has always lived, who will always live. And I don't believe the placement of this narrative is insignificant. I don't think it's an accident that when Moses asked God, "Show me your glory," that God immediately responds with, "I am who I am Yahweh, I am the Lord, I am the living one." Because you see, in the previous chapter, you know what you read about? That golden calf. Moses on the mountain, the Israelites wondering where this fellow Moses is, and so they come together, they build this golden calf. And God is juxtaposing himself with that calf. He says, "Look, that calf is made out of gold. It's not alive. It's an idol, for crying out loud. But I am. I live yesterday, today, and forever. I'm no idol. I am the I am, the eternal one, the one who always is." And God further says, there at verse 19, I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Oh, the Calvinists love this text. They say, look, what God means here is He's predestined some to be saved and some to be lost. Don't you love it when people just pluck a verse out of its context and try to make it mean what they want it to mean? Go read my article in the newsletter. It's what I'm talking about. They pluck this verse right out of its context and ignore everything that comes before it. You see, again, the Israelites had just built that golden calf. And if you remember, the Israelites are God's special people. And when He says, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, show compassion on whom I will show compassion, He's not talking about folks. He's not talking about individuals. He's talking about nations. You see, when the Israelites built that golden calf, God told Moses, leave me alone in my anger. I'm going to go, I'm going to consume them. I'm going to destroy those folks. And I'll build a great nation from you. And Moses intercedes for the people. And he reminds the people of God, these are your people. These are your special people. These are the people whom you have chosen. The people you have led up out of Egypt. Your own special possession. Deuteronomy 7 and 8. I believe gets the heart of what God says here. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Show mercy to whom I will show mercy. The Lord, do not say His affection on you, the nation of Israel, and choose you because you are more numerous than other peoples. For you were the fewest of all peoples. It was because the Lord loved you and kept the oath He swore to your ancestors, that He brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the land of slavery, from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Here's what God means in context about compassion, about mercy. He says, yes, I will forgive the Israelites for the golden calf. I will do it because they're my people. And because they are my people, I'll have mercy upon them. I'll have compassion upon them. I will choose what nation I want out of all the earth to bring forth the Messiah. I will choose my own special people. And they will be the Israelites. Because I have set my special love upon them. But, verse 20, you cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live. You know that Moses, in this context, over actually in chapter 34, but same context, is going to see a representation of God. Isaiah at the temple sees the Lord high and lifted up. Others see representations of God, but they don't actually see God. Because God's glory is too great for mortal man, God cannot manifest all His glory to us. For no one can see God's face and live. And of course, God's Spirit, He has no face, He has no arms, no hands. He's speaking in anthropological terms and speaking as if He were a man and relatable to us. You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live. The Lord said, verse 21, there's a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen. You can see my back, Moses. My face you can't see, but I want you to notice this. Here is the man of God. And what is God going to do for him? Protect him. God could have just allowed His glory to come there in front of Moses and for Moses to have died. No one can see my face and live. But God doesn't do that. God protects His servant, covers him in the cleft of the rock with His hand. And after he's passed by, He removes the hand and allows Moses to see his back, to see that small bit of God's glory. See, God's glory is too great for mortal man. Moses could not see God in all of His glory and in all of His splendor. But wouldn't you like to? Would you, like Moses, not like to ask God, show me your glory? Let me see you in your majesty. Let me see you in your glory. Let me see your radiance. Let me see you. You want to see God this morning? You want to see that glory of God? You can. One day, we know that barrier shall be removed and we shall see that glory in all of its splendor, radiance, and majesty. 1 John 3:1. We know that when Christ appears, we shall be like Him. Why? For we shall see Him as He is. That has to be one of the most beautiful texts in all of Scripture. No more seen through a glass darkly. No more seeing the beauty of God's creation and seeing some small manifestation of God's glory that way. Seeing Him face to face, eye to eye. To see Him as He is. Oh, what a blessed day that is going to be. To see Him as He is. Wouldn't you like to now? I believe in some small way we can see Him as He is in this world, in this life. And if you want to, you have to go see Jesus. Remember when the Greeks came and they found Philip, Andrew, and they said, "Sirs, we would see Jesus." If you want to see the glory of God in this world, in this life, you have to see Jesus. Because you see, Jesus came to this earth in part to reveal the glory and the majesty of God. John 1:14 and 18. The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is Himself God, as in closest relationship with the Father, has made Him known. We have seen the glory of the one and only Son. At the Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John had fallen asleep. They were very sleepy, the text says, Luke 9:32. But when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men standing with him. John 17:5. Jesus can show us his glory, for he's had glory since before the creation in that prayer in the garden. And now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began. Glory. You want to see the glory of God, you have to see Jesus. Because you understand, he told Moses, no one can see me and live, but as we see Jesus, we see the Father. You remember what he told the apostles? John 14:9, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Hebrews 1:3, the Son is the radiance of God's glory. And notice this, the exact imprint of his being. That's the Greek. The exact imprint of his being. You know, you strike something. The word is you strike a Roman coin. You have the face there of the emperor on it, the image of the emperor. Jesus is the exact representation, the exact imprint of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After he made purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. The exact representation of his being. If you want to see that glory of God, go see Jesus. Go look at him. Remember, John the Baptizer was worried about whether Jesus was really the Messiah. The baptizer is in prison. He's struggling. He sends some disciples to Jesus and said, are you really the Messiah? Should we look for somebody else? And Jesus says, go back and report to John what you've seen and heard. The blind receive sight. The lame walk. Those who have leprosy are cleansed. The deaf hear. The dead are raised. And the good news is proclaimed to the poor. That's what we need to see. Go back to the Gospels. Spend time in the Gospels. Take the Gospel of Luke, for example, this week. Read through the Gospel of Luke and see the glory of God. Luke was a physician. And because of that, he was not only a physician and he writes about people's medical problems and how Jesus heals them. He's also a Gentile. And so because he's outside of God's original covenant, he writes about the downtrodden. He writes about how Jesus shows compassion to those who are down and out. Go spend time with Luke. See how Jesus raises the dead. See how he has power over nature. See how he heals the sick. See the wisdom with which he teaches. See the sinless way he lives his life. And there you will see and find the glory of God. If you want to see the glory of God, you have to go to Jesus. He is the exact imprint of his being, of the nature of God. What do you do when you see the glory of God? When you've gone to Luke, the other two synoptics in John, when you see Jesus in all of his glory, all of his splendor, and therefore you're able to see the glory of God, what do you do? What if we responded like Moses responded in Exodus 34, 4 and 8. So Moses chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and went up Mount Sinai early in the morning, as the Lord had commanded him. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of their parents, the 3rd and 4th generation. Moses gets his wish. God comes and proclaims his glory in front of him. Verse 8. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. He bowed before that majesty, greatness of God, and he worshipped. What if, as we see Jesus metaphorically in the Gospels, and thereby see the glory of God as we can in this world, what if we bowed before the throne of God? What if we, like Moses metaphorically, bowed in God's presence and worshipped? What if we brought everything that we have, everything we are, everything we think, every sin we've committed, every act of righteousness we have done, what if we brought it all to Jesus? All to our Father? Left it there. We bow low before His throne. Is it the case this morning that you need to bow before Jesus? Submit your life, your will to His. To confess His name. Be raised in baptism, from baptism to walk in newness of life. You need to come this morning. You need to come right now as we stand and sing.